In three, two, one. Hello, everyone. I'm Captain Logan. Welcome to a live commentary. Joining me this evening is my regular co-host for this segment. It's the Day Ghost. Hello, Austin.
What's up? How's it going?
I am good. Tonight we're going to do something very different and very strange and bizarre, and the man at fault here is Michael McCallister, who requested on Patreon this movie for review, and the requested reviews have transformed now into commentaries, and so I decided to start the commentaries with this one because I asked for genre things, and I want to keep it, as comic and superhero related as people are willing to make it that way. But I've decided, Austin, to be a little bit looser than this than I was originally, because a lot of people are wanting, some of our requesters on Patreon really wanting just genre stuff in general. So I'm gonna allow that. I'll allow it. And so tonight, we're going to start that whole thing with the end of Evangelion, which is the last... which is a series ender movie for a series that I've never seen, and a series that Austin has never seen, in a medium that neither of us are especially familiar with or all that interested in. Although I will say I've taken more of an interest in recent years in anime than I ever used to, and have considered maybe soon starting to drop down that rabbit hole just a little bit. So, Austin, I'm getting more and more requests all the time for anime stuff. It seems like there's a big resurgence lately in interest in anime in general for whatever reason. And I put up a poll a couple weeks ago asking folks what things I should watch, and I got a bunch of responses. And I don't remember if the Evangelion series was in there at all, but I guess this is going to be my first big foray into that, which will be a very bizarre one. Austin, thanks for doing this with me. Neither of us are here because we're experts in this or know anything about it. We're here because we said that we would do a request, and Austin graciously decided to be my co-host on this. So, Austin, I want to apologize for dropping you into this madness for our first show together doing requests.
No, I just want to say thank you, Michael. It was very good watching this, and if I ever see you, I will throw a brick at you. Let's start this movie.
That was not a threat against his person. He was kidding. It would be a foam brick.
Sure.
So, before we get into this, let me just put in a couple of real quick caveats. I'm not promising anything with this commentary whatsoever. Part of me doesn't even want to promise words, but I put commentary in the title. I thought about watch party, but that seemed a little bit unfair with requests. A requested watch party. You can request something at the $15 tier on Patreon, and we will turn it on. That is what we're promising. No, we will talk over this, but I can't promise insights or a lot of knowledge because I don't know this series at all. This is a super strange place to begin with. The coming back for requests, of course, it was just the next thing on the list. But also, it's a really strange place to start anything. Somebody in the comments earlier, live before we started, said that this is like if you had somebody watch the last episode of Lost without watching any of Lost. And I think that's a really apt analogy. I was looking at, I did, 10 minutes of cursory research before this, and I saw some excerpts of a few different reviews of this movie from the period, and one of them made a big deal out of, don't watch this if you haven't seen the series, but Michael McCallister is making us do that, and I talked to him a little bit this afternoon, and it sounds like part of the reason he wanted to do this is just because he thought it would be funny, and we'll see if that is true. So I feel like that gives us carte blanche to handle this any way we want to. If he thought this was going to be funny, when I have anything interesting to dissect or discuss as much as I'm able to with my limited knowledge with this and having only sat through it once, I will do that. But I feel like it gives us carte blanche to Austin to riff and handle this really any way we want to with anything that comes to mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got my brick ready.
Austin was cool enough to watch this through a couple of times, so he's going to know this a little bit better than I do, and he had more time to do some background research than I did. So I weirdly, even though neither of us is an expert in this department whatsoever, Austin is going to know a little bit more than me, and I'll be able to rely on him maybe slightly here and there.
And by that, Cap just means I watched this twice and then texted my sister, like, what is this? And she was like, it's kind of this, I guess.
So, thanks for doing that. Thanks for reaching out. Okay, so
thank you to my sister for giving me maybe 30 seconds of material on this movie.
Mr. Roboto says, "DayGhost, there's someone behind you."
Yeah, it's Evangelion.
It's really funny that you did that. I mean, obviously, it's just an amusing choice, but I always assumed that the title of this referred to a female protagonist and was really surprised when it was just the name of the mechs.
Well, yeah, because I don't think the movie is Evangelion. I think it's Evangelion. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah, and I butchered it all to hell because you threw me off with that picture behind you.
But yeah, and I didn't want to correct you because it was funny.
I want to pretend like I did it just to match the background picture, but I am going to say you threw me off. Anyway, let's go ahead and watch this movie. It is bizarre. It is way out there. Austin, I feel like I've invited you to a drug trip. I feel like we've bought some illegal substances and we're about to partake in them. And it'll be a lot like getting into certain illegal substances, right? In that it's going to start off a little weird, and by the end of this, we won't even know what plane of existence we're on.
No, it's very much a bad trip. My reaction both times was that I felt like I was on the Willy Wonka boat ride, and I just couldn't leave. And I had the, like, there's nowhere of knowing where we are going, just going through my head the whole time. So, let's see if it goes that way again.
There is no more apt way to put that. Let's go ahead and get right into it. It is on Netflix if you want to watch it with us, and please, if you're listening to this right now, live or otherwise, watch this with us. Because I don't see how in the world this commentary will be a product in and of itself. Let's go ahead and get started. If you want to chat with us during the show, feel free to leave comments. I can't promise how many things we're going to respond to as we're trying to discuss and respond to what we're seeing. But as always, if you want to make sure that anything you want us to see gets talked about on camera, you can certainly leave a super chat, but don't feel like you have to do that. We'll try to tackle a few things as we see them. Anything that looks fun and interesting. I was really hoping that Michael would be able to make it during the show. He was here right before and he had to leave because originally I think his plan was to try to attempt to explain parts of it to us, but that's not going to work out now. So we are jumping into the deep end without any real swimming experience. We needed to have taken lessons when we were children, and we had bad parents and they didn't teach us. And so now we're just jumping into that pool and going to hope that we don't drown.
Well, and before we jumped in, we chopped off our limbs, and the lifeguard made sure there were sharks in the water, so we're ready.
So with that said, everybody into the pool. Here we go. Make sure that you are at timestamp 0, however you're going to watch it, and get ready to press play when I say now. Here we go, everybody. If you're watching live and you get off base somewhere and you need a timestamp, put it in the comments. Somebody will help you. If they don't, I will try to help you and let folks know if they happen to come in late that we've started already, and give them a timestamp, please. Everybody help each other. Here we go. Everybody please press play right now.
So right off the bat, we have like 600 logos.
Get ready for Logos the Movie!
When I watched this last night, so I watched this once by myself, and then I watched this one once with some of the guys on the Patreon Discord, Noah and Subject.
Sega!
Yeah, Sega apparently helped make this movie. But there's a part where there's like, I think something on screen, and Noah just goes like, "Oh, the movie started." Oh, it's another logo.
I kept
Oh, I think it was the space shot.
I kept feeling like I was being trolled by these logos, and this is a thing that gets made fun of all the time now, as if it's a new thing in the last like decade or more. This movie is 1997, and I definitely didn't see anything from them with this many logos.
Oh no, it was this water shot because he was like, "Ah, this movie's in live action? Like what? It's starting on live action? Oh, it's a logo."
Yeah, well, and that's what company is that? That's in front of a lot of tokusatsu stuff.
I'm not sure.
It's not
I don't
Toho,
know.
right? I don't think Toho had anything to do with this.
That was my first thought, but I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know anime.
Alex409, you guys should eventually watch the series as it's amazing and quite deep. Did this give you any interest in going back and delving into this?
No. It gave me interest in hitting myself with a hammer, but not watching the show.
So let me say that I think Austin and I did have somewhat different experiences watching this. 1 second.
I admittedly got a headache the first time I watched this because of how, like, nutso it is. And there's a lot of flashing.
It's seizure-inducing, absolutely, especially in that last half hour, which is the most incomprehensible thing I've ever watched in anything. And even a lot of people that love this, that's one thing that nearly everybody seems to be agreeing on with this, from what I've read, is it is hard to make heads or tails of what exactly is going on in that ending, even if you find it really fascinating and there's, bits of ideas and, profundities that you can pick out of it.
So we open immediately with a pretty gross scene.
Which, honestly, I didn't understand what I was looking at first time out, because I don't think I understood just how adult and disturbing this movie was going to be. And it just didn't even occur to me that a thing like this would open with a really weird masturbation sequence, and I didn't understand what was happening until I read a synopsis, and I was like, oh, that's what was going on. What a very strange way to introduce your protagonist.
I mean, he's just gonna wind through the rest of the movie, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't even think protagonist is the correct word for this guy, at least at this point. I don't know what he's like earlier in the series, but, I mean, he's not an antagonist. He feels like, in some ways, my antagonist. You know what I mean? Just because I don't like watching movies about completely unlikable, unsympathetic, whiny jerk faces. Oh, that's gross. I did not know what was happening when I first watched this. We're watching this on Geekvolution.
Yeah.
Publicly. This should be a Patreon video. But it's not. It's on the main channel.
I mean, it's not like we're masturbating on camera. It's
No.
just in the movie. They can't
and I mean,
see
it's
it
not
on
like we
here.
haven't done commentaries on Rated R things and stuff, but I feel really weird even talking about that scene to any degree not on Patreon.
That's okay. Wait till people see the last, child review reading. It'll be way worse.
Man, there's a part of me that's not even sure I want to post that, but I know you're going to make me, so I will. It didn't feel mean while we were making it.
No, the second we finished, I was like, I'm shocked, Cap. It was like, oh, let's keep recording this for the channel.
It was so late at night. You guys don't know what we're talking about yet, but that's it. Some really interesting color choices. All that purple is
certainly is purple.
Is really cool.
And now we get some eyes and rectangles and the spear of gingivitis. It's on the moon.
So I forgot that the spear of Longitis, or sword of Longitis, whatever it is, was mentioned. It is a spear, right? Was mentioned this early. When we saw it later, we actually see what is exactly as is described, just a really long spear. I'm like, that was on the nose.
Are you suggesting that there are things that are on the nose?
There's a lot of on the nose in this. So let me get ahead of everything real quick and say and try to finish a point I started to make earlier, which while the movie is explaining what the whole movie is supposed to be about. So I had, like I said, a different experience watching this, maybe a little bit than Austin did. I've seen not a ton of this kind of stuff, but enough of it now that I'm intrigued before I'm critical. Like, I'm still trying to just suss out the sensibilities of the culture that spawned this stuff. I'm watching these kinds of things, simply making observations, and not willing to do too much more beyond that, because I don't feel qualified to criticize. Because once I do that, I'm holding it to my own standards and the standards of the culture I grew up in, and the what's the word I'm looking for? The popular standards of, Western fiction. And I realize that a lot of things that we would consider, again, too on the nose, too obvious, in your face, holding your hand, that kind of thing, is standard practice with it seems to be with a lot of stuff in Japan, especially because I see a lot of that kind of writing in things that are considered the cream of the crop for anime. Your Ghost in the Shells, your Akira's, that kind of thing. A lot of those sorts of movies come right out and tell you exactly what the movie is about in dialogue, and have a lot of names of characters and MacGuffins and things that are really obvious, and feel like the scriptwriter just coming right out into the material. This is the theme. We thematically named it. There's a quirkiness and an absurdity that we're not afraid of in Japan that we are here, that I really admire, and I don't mind a lot of that stuff in the context of a thing that in certain ways isn't taking itself too seriously. This is taking itself super seriously, to potentially the point of pretension. I don't know that I know enough to even say that, but I do feel like it still has that same like standard, really heightened, high concept comic book absurdity that a lot of this kind of stuff does. And then the question is just, does this exist to try to elevate that material, to make it more about like really deep, heavy issues, and to make it really sociological and really psychological? And is it just a deconstruction of that stuff? Or does it actually really have a lot to say, and just says, we like the mech stuff so much that we think that we can tell a smarter, more sophisticated story? Like, is it just going, we're better than the mech thing, so we're gonna make the mech thing better? Or is it going, no, you can tell these kinds of stories with that? And I'm not sure. All I can do is ask questions with this stuff.
Yeah, and I'm the first person to admit that just anime is not my thing. Like, it's just, nope, don't get it.
And it's not mine either, and I had that attitude wholesale for the longest time, and I've got a couple of friends now that have gotten me to watch, a few of these things here and there, particularly Eric, and I feel more open-minded about it now. I think the gateway for me was Godzilla. Not that I've seen a ton of Godzilla, but just I took a class back in college on and I've talked about this before, on the history of Japan after the occupation, and 1945. And I came to appreciate the culture a lot more, learning some things about its, fascinating relationship with America, and the ways that we the two cultures have kind of intermingled and regurgitated each other. And America and Japan culturally for the last 50 plus years has just been a dog, or longer now, just a dog chasing its tail. We make a thing that they admire, they're in love with. They tried to like almost fully Americanize after the war, and then they take that and they put their own sensibilities on it and they make it something else, and then we become fixated fixated on that, and we take it and we make it something else. And we just keep doing that over and over again. And once I started to understand that relationship, I found this stuff a lot more interesting. And so I'm a great deal more open-minded to it than I ever was before college.
I'll say I am a big Godzilla fan.
So that's really interesting. So it's not that you're not interested in Japanese stuff. You just don't
Mm-hmm.
care for the way for their animation sensibilities.
Yeah, it's strictly just an anime thing. And I've seen quite a bit of anime, even stuff where I'm like,
oh wow,
like that's good. Like it's just not my thing. I also, with this movie, even just besides that, I think some of just like the shot to shot like beats are kind of impossible to follow, in that I have no sense of a grander scale of what's happening. Like especially here in this like kind of battle part, where we'll just cut from like tanks to just somebody being stabbed, and I have no idea in relation what like how this all fits together. You know what I mean?
yeah. And the question is, would you understand it more if you saw all the material leading up to this? Because this is not a thing meant to be watched in a vacuum.
And for stuff like that, like I can't imagine you would, because what you would get from that is just, you know, who these characters are. Like,
Sure, and at least you would have more feelings about it than you and I are, because I can't tell you in any given scene if somebody that gets killed off by this evil organization at the beginning that's, you know, coming into the facility here that I assume, you know, the whole show probably takes place in. Like, I don't know if any of these people are people that I'm supposed to, you know and already have feelings about.
yeah, there's just like a lot of shots where I'm watching explosions, but I can't really tell what's being shot, and I can't see where it's being shot from. And that's like a lot of this opening.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I found it. I did find it hard to follow, but I also was just distracted by trying to put some of the lore together. You know, just figure out the basic premise of it, because I didn't read up anything turning this on. That's always how I handle these requests. I never do any research whatsoever going in, even knowing from Michael's initial email, his initial request for this, that this was the end of a series. I felt like I just wanted to stick to what I usually do with this and not look up anything. So I was like, because I wanted to be able to speak to, does this hold up at all as just a singular piece if you don't know anything? And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of really interesting ideas and some beautiful and disturbing, vivid imagery, and a lot of stuff that will stick with me forever, probably. And a lot of things, especially thematically, that I can point to certain influences I think might be here and relate them to other, you know, the few other anime movies I've seen in this genre. Because, of course, anime is not a genre, but this kind of, you know, science fiction epic stuff. I don't think I've seen anything quite this, like, I don't know, psychological thriller, if that's the right way to put it, with other anime things. But so, like, it's not like I didn't get anything out of it watching it, but I was latching on to thematic ideas and stuff a lot more than I was characters in mythology, because all I really was getting from mythology is, okay, there are these things called angels that our heroes fight for some reason. I had to read synopsis later before I even understood that there was like an end of the world scenario, and there was like an apocalypse, and this place is set up to stave off future apocalypses. Like, I didn't even get that just watching this. I still am fuzzy on why the big like cybernetic mechs, I guess they're partly biological, why they have to be piloted by 14-year-old girls. I don't know what that's about.
That's just anime.
Oh, okay. But in reading a little bit of information after this, it seemed like, from what little I was able to you know, suss out, it seemed like there's supposed to be some concrete reason that can only be like kids of that age group, and I think it's all female. But I don't know if I'm right about that.
It's not like Japanese schoolgirls. Like, it's not like one of those animes. Yeah, my sister also described this movie as being or this series as being kind of like Pacific Rim in that way. And I guess like the robots fight alien monsters or something.
Yeah, Mr. Roboto says they're protecting the planet from alien kaiju. But our main threat at the beginning here is humans, and like they keep talking about the angels, so I was like, okay, they're used to fighting something that's not human, and that seems to be the big point at the beginning. Is, you know, we're trying to explore, of course, why the human condition is the way it is, and why we can't all just get along. And that kind of thing, and our heroes at the beginning of this seem to be really clueless about war with people because they're so used, and I thought this was an interesting idea, they're so used to just fighting monsters that it's like, why on earth would we ever fight each other? And this, you know, other organization that they're having, that's trying to, you know, infiltrate and destroy them, has this grand plan to turn to take away individuality, and that's a big theme with a lot of the sci-fi anime stuff I've looked at, that like individuality is important, it's scary if you lose that, putting everybody together as one single entity is bad and scary, and that's what they want to do in order to save us. And the question with that always is, if you do that in order to save humanity, have we lost what it is that makes us human, thereby rendering that a pointless endeavor and a horrifying idea in the first place? And that is very much what one of my favorite science fiction novels, Childhood's End, is about. I've seen a lot of that in this, especially because of the like Judeo-Christian imagery, because the aliens in that are have wings and are angelic.
Very good.
I think I've probably said everything I had to say now until we get to the madness at the end. But
yeah, I'm spent. I got my Evangelion info out.
So from what I've read, the series itself apparently had a lot to do with reinvigorating the popularity of anime, and it's kind of beloved by a lot of fans, or at the very least is, you know, appreciated and respected, because it kind of put this stuff back on the map for people.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie, from what I read, got made because people didn't like the ambiguity of the ending of the series, which is the funniest thing I've ever heard. It's like the ending of that, whatever it was, and I've not seen it, was so ambiguous that the most confusing thing I've ever watched got made. In order to make it clearer.
Clearer.
I got a timestamp. Got a super chat from Tom. Let me see if I can find that real quick.
Tommy boy, how's it going?
What's up, Tom? This is like me starting Lord of the Rings with the Two Towers or Smallville in the middle of season 5. The difference there is you would understand the premise of those things much faster than just trying to watch this. And yeah, it's always weird starting in the middle, but starting at the very end is way stranger.
No, this is like if you edited the last 10 minutes of Smallville and the last 10 minutes of Two Towers into one movie, and then you just watched that.
And then the end of that was just the last 10 minutes of Beneath the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. And then at the end, like, the ring girl came out of the TV and shot you.
This gets somehow even bleaker and more messed up than Beneath the Planet of the Apes, which I didn't think was possible. And then as the movie at the end, we'll get there, but as it's like about suicide and stuff, and it's making me feel like in the moment like I would have slit my own wrist for various reasons, I guess, but just because like I'm so depressed, right? That's got this really uplifting message, and then it ends on as much of a downer as it was right before the uplifting message.
Here we're about to get a bunch of spines all connected to the severed heads of Wreck-Gar from Transformers. I don't know why, but Wreck-Gar's in this movie now. Or like 10 of him.
See, when you started to say that, I thought maybe there was something I missed. I thought you were going to say like Quintessons or something.
Oh, I wish Quintessons just randomly showed up in this movie. That'd be awesome.
And they would fit like a glove. Like this movie needs Quintessons. You would
Guilty or innocent.
You would not be shocked if Quintessons suddenly showed up in this.
Innocent. And then they drop. That'd be awesome. See, that was my first like G1 Transformers thing, and even that's not as confusing as your first experience with something like with a show.
No, that's true, and that was weird to jump into to me because I had never seen any Gen 1 Transformers either, and I had to watch that movie on request. I had to. And there are some interesting parallels here and there between something like this and that. Because you're thrown into this big giant war scenario, bunch of characters are getting killed off right at the beginning. It feels really profound and important, but I'm not totally sure what it's saying. You know, I mean, on first viewing. But yeah, the confusing thing with 86 Transformers was a lot more just, I don't know who any of these characters are, and in the face they all look the same, so I was just having a hard time tracking anybody.
Yeah, well, and that's also, you know, at the end of the day, a movie for kids. It's like a basic hero's journey, too. So
yeah, it just doesn't feel as basic when you first see it. It feels like there's got to be a lot more to it, because there's so much mythology and stuff. And this has that too, where it seems really involved in the lore and the history and stuff. But then there's also just the stream of consciousness of like 1,000,001 philosophical notions all thrown at you at once. And it's hard to be sure or to really buy that all of it goes together, and that it's not just, somebody like kind of, just throwing up onto the page like every thoughtful notion he's ever had.
And then you get moments like this where you're looking at a solid image for 2 minutes.
I thought something was we haven't been responding enough to what's actually on the screen. I thought that my Netflix had frozen, and because that's happened before, where like the sound will keep going but the image is frozen, and I'm like, wait a minute, like I stopped it for a second and turned it back on. I was like, nope, that's they are cutting costs now. And then I kept watching the movie and I was like, nothing like that I don't think ever happens again.
There's a few moments where...
Are there? Okay.
Yeah. But
also, like, I wouldn't describe this visually as a lazy movie, besides stuff like that. Like, it's a really epic, ambitious film.
Well,
the nerve!
The studio...
The nerve, Austin!
The nerve.
Of this movie.
Apparently the studio... I don't know if it was on this show specifically... but Doolittle on the Patreon Discord was telling me this. On one of their things, they ran out of budget and had to color a scene with Crayola markers.
In this movie?
No, not
or
in this
in the
movie.
Series.
I don't know if it's the show, but like
because this movie looks a lot more polished than a thing that could have run out of money.
The studio behind this show.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I don't know if it's in the show or if it's a different show they made. I can't remember.
So. I spent too long while I was watching this trying to figure out what the heck an AT field is, and then when I looked it up, it's just a force field. And I'm like, oh, okay, because it sounds a lot more complicated than force field. It's just a force field. That's all it is.
Yeah, even I got that right away.
I did not understand. I just figured there must be more to it. Like, why does it have an acronym? I don't know. I think, now, sometimes with, and we should talk about the translation and the dub, I guess, but sometimes with certain voice actors with anime things, I find characters less sympathetic than they would be on the page just because they're so over the top, right? Like they'll get so exaggerated. I'm like, I don't. This is so Toonami.
It's kind of annoying.
Everything about this right now. It's like all those commercials for Toonami I saw, like in 1997. But anyway, you get these really irritating voices like this, and if I can forget that it's hard to listen to her voice when she dies here in a little bit, that is legitimately sad. Like that is a rough moment.
Okay. Last night when we watched it, Noah and Subject were both like, I'm sad for this character. And I just yelled, why? I don't know who this is.
At least I'm not alone.
Yeah, apparently I'm just not very empathetic, I guess.
Well, I get where you're coming from because you and I didn't watch the series and we haven't spent any time with this character, but I guess I'm going with it a little bit more than you are in that, and maybe I've just been conditioned enough now watching a few of these things. Again, not an expert, haven't seen much, watched a couple of classics, a couple of TV shows here and there. I've got a little Helsing under my belt. It's been years. I've got a little bit of what's it called? Full Metal Alchemist. You know, I've seen a few things here and there. But I don't know, maybe it's some of that just has me a little bit more scene to scene with a thing like this. Where, like, I've gotten a little bit used to that kind of Japanese idea that they call weto, where it's just, like, in the moment, the kind of pouring on of emotions. It's more about, like, the here and now, visual ideas than it is about the way you and I traditionally think of story and getting invested in a character. And you hope a thing can have both.
That is admittedly a hang-up with me. If there's like not characters that like I can just immediately get invested in, my eyes start to glaze over.
I
so when
usually
I get stuff
have
that's
that.
more visual, yeah.
I usually have that. I guess I'm just treating the thing like this differently because I know it's not working with the same standards,
fair, yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't, and because it's not my sensibilities, I have the same thing you do. It's not my thing. I wouldn't go turn this on purpose, but if I'm watching it, it's a little bit easier to win me over than it would be if I knew that it was made here, if that makes any sense at all.
No, I understand. Yeah, absolutely. Can I read this next super chat?
The conventions are different. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. This is for $2 from Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Holy strobe lights, Catman. I hope noon is epilepsy.
Why are you reading it like that?
Because that's how I read it in my head. And I was like, I need to read that.
Is that what Tom sounds like in your head?
Yes.
So did you notice that these new creepy versions of the Evas are just mech version or just like monster versions of Batman Who Laughs?
No, but Noah said something to me, and now I just can't unsee it. So when I first saw them, I was like, oh, they're giant whale creatures. And he was like, no, they're laughing fish.
Oh.
With bodies. That's
well, see, he and I both went to a Joker place. Look at the smiles on him, though. They're Batman Who Laughs, and there's a couple of shots where they have, like, big spikes in the back that make them even more look like that.
See, I already just thought they looked like fish. So, when he was like, they're Joker fish,
it's like if the Joker fish was the Batman Who Laughs. Like, that's a special kind of creepy. I'm going to read a couple of... I'm sorry, what?
I said, no, that's a what if. Oh, this is another moment that's just a solid image.
Oh, that's true. I guess I didn't notice it as much here. If I'm the director, I'm at least doing a slow pullback so that there's some movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you wouldn't question it as much because you could at least see her, bent over like that without moving. I feel like the other character would be doing something more.
Yeah,
For this long. But I mean, this is a nervous breakdown. I can totally see, your head's on the fence or the fence, lattice work there, and you're not moving. But then as soon as you get a zoom in, everything is moving. So yeah. Busted Sim, the head creator, suffered an extreme depressive breakdown halfway through making the show, which then made it into the show on top of the aforementioned budget issues. That's interesting, and probably has a lot to do with why the end of this movie is so much about depression and suicide and teen angst.
Oh, also this piano music. Every time I hear it, I keep expecting Angel of the Morning to just start blasting, and then it doesn't.
RJ Gazilla, wait, Asuka dies cap spoilers. Well, whenever I'm doing a commentary like this, I don't worry about spoilers. I assume that the people that are watching this with us have probably either seen this or are not going to mind when we tell them about things that are about to happen. I think it would really be the wrong way to watch this in particular, to see it not only for the first time having not seen the show, but with us trying to find some way to make a video while watching it.
Yeah, I didn't even know the person's name was Asuka.
I was having a difficult time keeping track of any names in this. I don't even know the name of... I mean, I guess I can pull up... I've got a list of characters here, but while I was watching it, I didn't know who was who. Well, and even just looking at these names, I couldn't tell you who's supposed to be who necessarily. The bad guy who wants to turn, humanity into one entity. The guy with the pupilless glasses. I don't know what his name is.
Well, he's apparently this character Shoji Tabuchi's dad.
Oh. That's how grown-ups kiss.
We'll do the rest when you get back. Ugh. Death.
That's unfortunate.
This part I also don't understand, and I don't think knowledge of the show would make me understand it. He just got into an elevator, and then it explodes from below her, but wouldn't that also destroy the elevator? I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't think of that. I'm with you, but then I was having a hard time tracking what the internal logic of this universe is. To some degree, I mean, I guess basic physics stuff like that should be more or less what they are in the real world, probably. Yeah, it would really be weird to go back after I've seen this a couple times and get to know any of these characters. And I asked you if this enticed you to go back and look at the rest of the show. I think overall I had a better experience with you than this, and would even say I like it more, if that's the right word. I mean, I'm intrigued more than I'm at anything, like I said earlier. But I too don't actually feel compelled to watch any more of this. Partly just because I know about this really bizarre, somebody called it esoteric, that's the right word, ending, and I don't know that I want to go back and watch everything for a thing that ends with such a giant question mark in this really super bizarre, meta kind of way. I kind of wish I didn't know about that if I was going to watch any more of it.
That makes sense.
I guess what I'm saying is I would be afraid that it would feel too small compared to this. You can't go any bigger than this, right? And so like you go back, and I would be afraid that I would just be kind of like, unless I was really invested in characters and stuff, just kind of like counting down the minutes until we finally get to like the big answers at the end, or what they think are the big answers at the end.
There's the big Baymax who's crucified with this purple mask.
Baymax. Oh yeah, John. If that girl in the robot is that character, if that's Shinji, yeah, she's been in the robot.
No, Shinji. That's the.
Oh no, that's the main guy. What robot?
Guy.
Wait, what robot does he get in? What are we talking about?
He gets a.
I don't remember.
He gets in like the big purple one.
Oh, that's right.
He turns into a giant Twizzler. A Shoji Tabuchi.
So again, without passing any kind of judge, and again, let's keep in mind this is a 25-year-old movie. Without passing any kind of judgment on the, from that long ago and in another culture, the sensibilities, would you call this movie, like, let's just say it was made like now and here, like to you, would you describe this movie as sexually exploitative, or do you think that what we're doing is almost more of like a romanticization, I didn't say that word very well, of the female form? Because I could kind of see it both ways.
So a lot of anime I've seen is just kind of pervy.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just kind of my initial reaction, was like, oh, it's just kind of more of that. I've heard people kind of make arguments for why it's not. I don't know. I don't care enough. But at the very least, I'd say it's being more intellectual about being pervy, I guess, in places.
That's interesting.
But I don't know, a lot of anime that I've seen kind of has those sensibilities.
Yeah, and I just assumed that's what we were doing initially, and then as the film went on, it seemed like a lot more of this like celebration and affection of like the beauty of the female form, where it was treating that as almost like.
Sorry, John
and then
Kelly
it just gets stabbed by a giant
said,
pitchfork, or like a giant tuning fork.
John Kelly just said, if an anime doesn't have nudity, just weigh it. Exactly.
That's great. But what it seemed to me, and like I don't know what I'm talking about. So I mean, I've never seen this show. I've watched this movie one time. Don't know what I'm talking about. But so I might be completely off base. But what these things are disturbing. What it
is seemed, until they start going.
We can make there. That's when it looks the most like the Batman Who Laughs. We can make anything scarier by taking eyes off of it. You ever notice that?
Oh yeah, that is definitely like a thing. You take eyes off of it, and it's like your monster design.
I think it's legitimately creepy when it seems like we've killed them and then they sprout wings again. You're like, oh, holy crap, here they come.
Yeah, that kind of reminded me of that Hellboy 2 moment where like they're killing like the Golden Army and then they all start like rebuilding themselves. That was like what I was thinking of. Yeah, that's cool.
Well, and he's got some anime sensibilities, obviously.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But what I was going to say a minute ago, while we're watching some, genuinely unnerving stuff happening, although not as unnerving as some things that happen later. Well, that's pretty messed up. Anyway, but I found myself wondering if the idea. This is my take on it. It seemed like it was kind of making the female form like perfection visually, and then when we start like screwing with it and making it amorphous and gross and stuff in that last half hour, it's like the perversion of the closest to perfection humanity has. Like, it seemed like a celebration of that form to me, and then we make it really screwed up by perverting it. And there seems to be, I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself, but there seems to be a clear, some clear symbolism when we start, like, mashing bodies together at the end, with that thematic idea of, like forcing humanity all together as one single entity, and, like, you know, that's supposed to be wrong and scary and bad, and so we start mashing a bunch of people together to say, look, we're not even human anymore, even as we're trying to, like, force a peace in that way.
Yeah, and there's just some imagery in this movie that reminds me a lot of Junji Ito, who I'm a big fan of. He's a horror manga artist.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever read any of his stuff, but
no, I haven't.
He's awesome.
I'd
be like that scream, because you're gonna get it again in 5 minutes. But first, credits.
And to be continued. Yeah, so we're gonna have credits right in the middle of this,
and no credits at the end. It's so weird.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a second, because
yeah, you talk about that. I'm gonna eat this donut.
We're gonna have to look at a bunch of writing we can't read for the next, like, 4 minutes anyway. So originally I assumed that this was a movie, you know, in just the sense that we took a couple of episodes at the end of a show, put them together, and released it like a movie. You know, kind of like we did with like the World's Finest episodes with Superman. It's not that. I found out from Michael later. It turns out that they just, I guess, did this as kind of a subversion. Like, keep in mind, you know, it's 1997. Like, nobody at that time, I guess, they're thinking is going to expect we're going to remind you it was a TV show and go like, oh, look, it's the end of the episode, it's done, and then, oh wait, there's more. I think part of the reason, and they're like, there's a couple of places we talked over them where they put up like a title or something where it seems like you're looking at a TV show, but it's supposed to be a movie, and it's got a bigger budget like a movie, and it's more polished than that show apparently was, from what I've been told. I assume that the idea is it's about to get really crazy and out there and hard to follow, and so we put in the credits to subvert your expectations, and then we just hit you with madness all at once, where it's like, here's the big finish. Let's treat like all of the mind-blowing, you know, big finishing stuff like an epilogue, even though it's simultaneously the most important stuff that happens and the most impossible to understand.
It's the longest after credits scene I've ever seen. Yeah, we were watching it last night, because I guess this movie went to theaters. Like, everybody in the theater would leave. Like, oh, the movie's over.
And they look at their watch and they'd be like, oh, what a jip, I only got an hour of movie.
And I didn't even understand what happened.
From everything I've read, people seem to go, that last half is impossible to understand, but it's not the last half, it's the last third.
Mm-hmm.
You think the credits are done and they keep going. There's like a break between them for some reason.
There's after credits.
They're going up a spiral staircase that never ends. It's very strange.
That's making me dizzy. It's got some nice Halloween orange.
Yeah, he's in a Halloween mood. I'm not. I talked about this on the Captain Logan show yesterday. I have been watching so much Walking Dead lately that I'm already burnt out on horror stuff before we even get to October. I'm the least
for me, like
in a Hollywood in a Halloween mood that I've been in 10 years probably.
yeah, for me, like I don't really watch things for specific holidays. I just watch kind of whatever I feel like watching in the moment. So I saw like a new trailer for Halloween Kills, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch through all the Halloween movies. Like it didn't even really have anything to do with the fact that we're coming into October, and I'm done now. Like I finished in September. But like I did make a list because I have been going through the old Universal Monsters films, so I'm going back to that. So at least there is more horror-y stuff, but horror is also my genre, so I'm constantly watching that material.
Yeah, and it's not mine at all, as you know.
Yeah.
RJ
Except for your weird love with zombies.
RJ Godzilla, how can you eat anything after seeing that robot mostly devoured like that?
That's what made me hungry.
I can't believe we only got half an hour left of this. This has not been going the way I expected it to. I guess I had more to say than I thought I did. And to people that know this show and know what they're talking about, I'm sure I've been obnoxious because I don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm just kind of throwing out things that came to me while I was watching it. Thanks for the super chat, Mr. Roboto. He retracted his message. Busta Sim. What's that?
I was gonna say I remember what he put in it, but now I can't remember.
Actually, I do know what he put in it, but because he retracted it, I'm choosing not to mention it because he was asking. He was saying something about a review he was curious to see me do eventually, and I actually have already done that review. And he probably realized that. Busted Sim, $5 super chat. The spirit of the children's parents are infused in the robots, hence why it's kids that have to pilot. Oh, the blue hair girl
put that in the chat.
Is a clone of Shinji's mom. Okay. A lot of really involved mythology.
Yes, Mr. Roboto, I am a universal monster.
So, this whole half hour is going to be insanely trippy, and it starts with the first thing in the movie, and there's some really disturbing stuff in that first hour. The first thing in the movie that made me, like, physically flinch, when he puts his hand into her chest. What is happening? And then the rest of this is just going to be me constantly having that reaction. That one. That's the reaction.
Has that never happened to you while you're with a girl? The, like, hand thing?
Look, my private life is none of your business.
I don't judge.
The spear
oh my god, the gingivitis, it's coming.
The spear of longiness. The spear of Longinus sounds like a thing that should be in a game of Munchkin. Tom, I don't think arms are supposed to fall off like that. She should get that looked at.
Longinus also sounds like something a kid would say. It's like
it does.
A private part.
It does. It sounds a little bit dirty, doesn't it?
But dirty if you're like 6.
See this this council of evil guys that want to save the world by ruining humanity. They all are talking in unison like a cult. So they sound like the Borg because they all want to be one mind. So that's why they got to do that.
And then Shoji just got crucified.
Yeah, tons of celestial imagery from lots of different cultures, but obviously primarily Judeo-Christian stuff. This feels like a blend of genres to me. Like, a lot, at least at the beginning, until we get to all of this, like, kind of, psychobabble stuff at the end. best way I can think of to put it, is really traditional, old school science fiction ideas. And then once we get to this place, I'm like, can I even call this like science fiction or cyberpunk anymore? Because it falls. It gets into a major gray area once we start bringing in all of the heaven and hell imagery and stuff. I don't know how much of that is literal. Like, are we looking at actual like supernatural celestial stuff? Is that what I'm supposed to take from this? And so like it's a blend of genres.
Oh.
I think a lot of anime stuff does that too, where it likes to really blur the lines between a lot of different genres. And I kind of respect that, where it's like, let's not get too hung up on, is it fantasy, is it science fiction, or like even is it magic and stuff. I think some of this kind of thing is a lot more comfortable with conceits in the first place than a lot of things we make, where it's just like, here's this weird thing that exists, don't ask questions. And if I have enough to latch onto, I don't mind that. I don't know if I do in this, because I don't understand this.
So
that guy's wearing a Cyclops visor.
Yeah. Do you wish the like secret organization or whatever, the shadowy people in Avengers that like boss Nick Fury around, do you wish that they were just several gray rectangles and Cyclops?
I mean, it's ominous. It's more ominous than what they did, where they're just, guys in silhouette standing around in a room. I don't know what the Black Moon is. I don't understand any of that. That's a special kind of creepy.
That's
I guess
also
we should have,
where it kind of leans more into perviness, where she's talking but her head is off camera and it's just a shot of her torso.
That's fair. No, that's true. Those are some pretty male priorities.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Lowe, thanks for the super chat. Interested to see if Cap will have Gotham level meltdown by the end of the video. I don't think I will. I'm in much more of just kind of a introspective place with this right now. Once we get into the weird meta stuff at the end, I mean, my head exploded the first time I watched it, but you guys didn't get to see that, so I know it's coming now. One review I read of this had or excerpt, I guess, had the read that the whole thing is supposed to be criticizing, and I don't know if there's any truth to this. Maybe you can read this in it, but I don't know if this is what was intended. That the whole thing was supposed to be a criticism of people that watch this kind of stuff for, it said, being spineless and not like going out and doing anything with their lives. So your protagonist is totally passive and can't find happiness and just wants to kill himself because he won't socialize with anyone. And so it's like a fiction criticizing you for watching it because you should be going and doing something with your life, I guess is what that guy was saying.
And that was also like what the masturbation scene is about.
Okay. Interesting. You mean in like being too wrapped up in a fictional world, being like pleasuring yourself or something?
No, of like the whole weird anime fans where it's like they got like the
So
like
he's one of them because he does that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was what Doolittle on the Patreon Discord suggested to me.
Okay. Because the end of this movie seems to suggest, I've only seen this once, seems to suggest to me, yeah, that hand placement was on purpose. No, you're right. But anyway, the end of this movie seems to suggest to me that everything we're watching is, even in the internal logic of the piece, a fantasy, and that like the real world is the real world. I guess like I'm not totally sure how I'm supposed to read it when we get to like actual footage of things.
Hmm. I don't know. This sequence feels very Junji, with like the different faces that like form one being,
What's
that
happening?
kind of monster design. Either we're having a stroke or the movie is. It's one or the other.
Well, again, it's such a meta thing that I think the idea is that both of those things are happening.
Well, that's why it keeps flashing. It like wants you to have a seizure with the movie.
I see.
It's all part of the plan.
Yeah. Well, and I also think that some of the really trippy stuff at the end of this is trying to make you. Again, I might be talking out of the other side of my face, but my thinking was maybe it's trying to make you feel what it thinks it would be like to be part of a collective consciousness. Where again, that's supposed to be like the greatest horror of all. So you get just all these constant flashes of a bunch of other people's lives, and it's complete chaos, and you couldn't have harmony. I I don't know.
Hmm.
But we're gonna get just this like bombardment of images after a while, and it's gonna feel like we're sitting in a torture device.
Hmm. There's a lot of like vagina imagery, like
I didn't even think of that.
going in. Now
Well, you
he's a
can say
giant
there was as,
Twizzler.
but if we have to go there, you could say there's as much phallic stuff as there is that.
Well, I just mean there's a lot of like opening up and going in. There's a
Yeah, but
lot
you
of that
also
in it.
have the spear of Longinus.
Yeah, and it went into his chest vagina, and it turned him into a Twizzler. I don't know what that.
That's kind of suggestive. Eyes on a crucifix? I don't know how to read that. It really just feels like, let's throw symbols. Just throw them.
Just wait until it like bombards you with crosses at the end.
Oh, yeah. Busted him, Teen Angst Me didn't understand this at all, but I was super on board with Shinji's journey through his own teen angst.
That's good. I guess. I don't know.
Maybe I would be more that way if I had had any experience with this character. But I just felt like the movie wanted me to hate him. I felt like I was a little bit with that review that I told you about that said that he was representing people that are too into fictitious worlds. Like, I don't know how much of that is intended, and I don't know. I'm mixed on that sentiment, certainly, because I do agree that people can get so wrapped up in this kind of thing that they sort of like lose themselves and almost forget what reality is, and that's bad. But there also is a time and a place, and we need fiction to help us communicate things that we don't have words for, and to help us figure out who we are. It's important. So I only would go with that to a point, but I'm with him in the sense that the movie does not seem to be on the side of that character, and he's a tragic character, and at the end of the movie, his life is over. Along with, it seems like the universe, but I'm not totally sure what's going on at the end of this movie.
Yeah, and is he just like that throughout the show, where they're like, well, let's do something, Shoji, and he's like, no.
He just lets everything happen to him?
Hmm.
Now, I will say that's a convention I do have a hard time getting around. The your protagonist should be proactive thing. I don't really care what culture you're in. I'm gonna have a hard time getting one over on that one. But again, it doesn't seem like that's not supposed to be heroic behavior in this. That's bad. This movie doesn't like that he's doing that, and so I don't like him and want to follow him. But I at least appreciate it in the sense that the movie's not on his side.
Oh, John Kelling explains it. He says by the end of this movie, he is his own mom. That's the answer.
Well, I guess that's the vagina imagery you were talking about. Must play into that somehow.
Yeah.
This looks like a really disturbing version of the Field of Dreams. The hills have eyes!
The skies have eyes.
Is there any particular reason that suddenly this footage is graining on purpose?
Because dream?
RJ Godzilla, this sequence is so Lovecraftian it isn't funny. I mean, I feel like you could say that about a number of sequences in this. But to Sam again, if Shinji's robot is his mom, and Rei, who became the bog white woman, is also his mom, how much of this is about birth or rebirth?
When Junji Ito is very Lovecraftian, but I think it like kind of fits more into what he does than like the Lovecraft thing. But I mean, it's definitely, you know, both pretty similar.
This is one of the things that sometimes repels me trying to watch anime things, is just women talking in this register. Just two adults comforting each other! Ah!
You are an idiot, Shoji! I don't like you!
And, like, I agree with her, but somehow I hate her as much as him right now. So, I felt like the first hour of this was pretty ambiguous as far as when it was made. If you didn't tell me it was 97 and I just walked in and started watching it. This last half hour is so dated. It's like as 90s as it gets, because it's and again, even with the Japanese sensibilities, just because it goes to such an emo place. I wouldn't have had any trouble telling you it was 90s and later 90s when we start getting into I don't know what the point of living is. I want to kill myself all the time.
Hey, but now we have red.
People don't understand me.
And now green.
All I live for is sex, and I can't find, you know, any other reason for living. Oh yes, we haven't talked at all about the dub and stuff. So apparently, this is not the original dub, and they did a different one for Netflix. And so I don't know if it's better or worse than what you would have gotten on disc back in the early 2000s.
I was told that this one's worse.
Okay.
But not being able to look at them myself, I don't know.
It does have the same thing I've had with almost every anime I've ever watched, where if I put the subtitles on, it's a completely different translation. So it gets weird because you're listening to one translation and you're looking at yet a different translation. And with this particular movie, it goes back and forth where sometimes the translation and the subtitles seem better than the dub, where you feel like you can have a pretty good sense that the idea, the sentiment that's being expressed is closer to the original in the subtitles than it is in the dub. And vice versa. It'll go back and forth that way.
Mm-hmm. That's why I don't watch Godzilla movies dubbed. They get butchered that way, especially the old ones.
My preference is almost always to watch Japanese movies subtitled and not dubbed.
For sure. With foreign films, I typically would rather watch it subtitled.
But especially Japanese, because the pacing of the language is so different. Everybody, of course, always makes fun of how fast, English speakers have to be to get all the words in, because the pacing is different and just the syllable count is different, and also I always have I get kind of prudish when it comes to like getting a thing the way it was intended and original performances, and so when I watch a thing dubbed like this, I feel like I'm not seeing it entirely the way it was intended. But I went ahead and watched it this way because that's the way it was on Netflix without changing anything, and I knew that's how anybody that would watch it with us would watch it. So I went ahead and watched it dubbed, but my preference is usually subtitled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same.
Blessed Sim, the ending is Shinji confronting himself and what he thinks other people think of him, and how that reflects on him and his place in the world. Yeah, I feel like I got that much of it.
Yeah.
I just don't know literally physically what is happening in that last scene.
I don't think that's like hard to follow, because it's like different characters being like, "Hey, you suck. No one likes you," and he's like, "Oh."
And then the larger kind of point of the whole thing seems to be the struggle. Like, with humanity, the struggle is what's important. Like,
There's also like, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you had like an actual point. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like it's that classic idea of it's the struggle that's important. You know, it would be great if you could have like 100% peace. Nobody has to die. Everybody lives happily ever after. But then we would stagnate as a race, and we wouldn't have any reason for living. And the reason that we are productive and the closest we can get to happiness is to, you know, try to improve ourselves. And so there's a big sermon at the end about self-improvement, which is laid on super thick, and thicker than anything else in the movie. But it's bookended with it because that seems to be, you know, where the whole turning humanity into a collective consciousness idea was going. Is, you know, it's against that idea.
Yeah, all I was gonna say was in that last scene there was weird cuts to a penguin. Apparently, penguins are a big thing in this show.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Oh, somebody tried to explain the Black Moon thing, and I was gonna read that, and I don't know.
Oh, that's the Black Moon is the thing they're pulling out right now, right?
Yes.
Subject explained it to me last night, but now I can't remember what it is. But we're at the scene where everybody's gonna turn into Orange Crush. It has something to do with like light. Oh, it's an energy thing, or something. I don't know.
I've got it. Oh wait, no, I
Yeah.
don't. It's seeping out of my mind.
It's something to do with like energy. The aliens want to absorb energy.
It's just something we puny humans don't have the mental capacity to fully understand.
Yeah, and they have to turn everybody into Orange Crush to absorb them and their energy, I think. Oh, yeah, Subject's in the comments mad at me because I forgot what he said. Whatever.
So wait, Austin, this will be a joke. Austin, is it a...
I love when you start a joke by joke, colon, and then the joke.
Is it going to be a confidence message where he's got his spine, he's got his Orange Crush?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He Orange Crushed it.
It's a pet penguin, says Alex. Subject, they're becoming one being. Well, yeah, I thought that was the whole idea.
That.
I still don't know what the whole Black Moon thing was in the first place. Somebody explained it, and I've lost that comment now.
I don't think you're supposed to call it that, though.
Call it what?
Black Moon. YouTube will shut you down.
Oh. Is it like rated R movies where you get one? I can say black one time.
Yeah, but you've said it like 800 times at this point.
And if I say black people, I'm done. That's it.
Yeah,
I'm out.
Yeah, you just said it.
I did. We've demonetized not just the video, but the whole channel forevermore. I probably owe YouTube money now because I had the audacity to put the words black and people together.
You just keep saying it. This is like a YouTube snuff film now.
I know. I'm swearing up a storm this evening.
Apparently I'm too innocent, so the movie won't break me.
What does that mean?
I am pretty innocent. You should see my purity test.
Are we still on about the purity score?
Yes, because everybody on the Patreon Discord thinks I'm lying.
Given some of the jokes you tell, it's hard to believe that you're not.
Yeah, those are all jokes. Just because I joke about throwing bricks at people doesn't mean I do it. I mean, I do. That's not related.
So the reason we're not talking about any of this is because
No, I feel like I'm watching. So when I was a kid, I had Ghost Rider on DVD, and one of the previews before it was the that Beatles musical film, Across the Universe.
Oh yeah, I never saw that.
And it scared the hell out of me as a kid, and I just feel like I'm watching that. Not that I'm scared, but just like weird imagery with like pop music.
Yeah, just really abstract.
And the like white face thing, because there's like some of that in that trailer. There was some more of the vagina imagery.
Ray. Yeah, I don't know why first viewing I didn't pick up on a lot of the innuendo you're bringing up. So here's that torture device stuff, where we're being strapped into a chair, and we're just being fed a bunch of imagery.
There is no way of knowing which way we are going.
Whenever
I don't know the words.
There's no knowing where we're rowing.
There you
go.
I've seen that movie once. I don't know.
Oh, really? That's one of my favorite movies.
It's really good.
But yeah, I feel like when we get done with this, we're gonna have reprogrammed memories and not even realize it. We're gonna have amnesia. There's a Star Trek TOS episode about this. And there's also a TNG episode that this reminds me of too.
Oh, okay.
The Mind's Eye.
John Kelling says, Austin, picture yourself on a boat on a river.
On a river!
With tangerine trees.
And marmalade skies.
That's maybe my favorite Shatner song.
It's great. And this would be a perfect music video for that.
Yeah. The best part is how does it go? It's like look up there at the turnstile, the girl with kaleidoscope eyes.
Okay, but the way you started that, it sounded like Christopher Lloyd doing a spoken word version of that song, and
yeah, he channels Christopher Lloyd, I guess. I don't know.
So now we start getting real world footage, and it gets in this insane meta place where it starts saying like, what is a dream? And I don't understand what's happening.
I feel like Homer Simpson's gonna walk out and be like,
I had that thought.
Cakes.
I had that thought. And it didn't blow my mind when suddenly we go from animation to this like it did in the Lego movie, because I didn't know why it was happening.
Well, especially because this is like stock footage.
Yes. And then we're gonna cut to. I mean, I could give you some BS reads of why we're doing crowd shots and things like that with all of the thematic stuff I was talking about earlier with the nature of humanity and everything. But like, just what physically is happening?
I don't know, but in a minute we're gonna get a guy throwing gang signs up at the camera, and that's great. He's like in the audience, and he's like,
do you think these auditorium shots... Oh, yeah, there he is. Do you think these auditorium shots they actually shot just for this?
Yes, no, maybe so. I'm not entirely sure how much of this they actually shot, 'cause a lot of it just kind of reads like stock footage. But like stuff with like these three girls, I'd have to imagine they probably shot.
Hawk Flame, this series is a masterpiece, but the way they're watching it, there's no way to get that. Well, that's why I've kept such an open mind with this whole thing, because I know a lot of people feel that way about it, and I, like I said, my experience was different from Austin, so I'm like, there's a lot of really fascinating stuff here. I'm not qualified to critique it at all, and like, I'm not knowing enough to fully understand it, if it can be fully understood. Now, I will say, I read some things from some people who, even back in the day, had watched everything. Oh, see, there was a guy even earlier that was doing it more subtly than that. Like, down here.
Oh, okay, I didn't see that one.
But that's hilarious.
So, yeah, you're much happier, while I will get a giant brick and throw it at Japan.
So, I mean, but what I was going to say is there are some folks that watched the entire series and then this when it came out, and couldn't make heads or tails of the end of this. So, like, I might very well call this a masterpiece if I had everything together. I just don't know enough to say that, but, like, it's interesting. There's a lot of stuff that certainly will stick with me. I think it's a visual tour de force, certainly, even if Austin won't say that.
No, there's definitely some good-looking stuff in this movie.
Busted Sim, this is now the awakening of Shinji out of his fantasy to reality. To move on with his life and grow up, humanity and the universe were reborn into reality. Humanity and the universe. I just don't even know what that means. Like, like, was the whole thing a fantasy world in the first place, and now it's been enveloped by reality? Like, I'm not sure what that even means.
But then also, Shoji's like, oh, life would be better if everybody was one. And then everybody's one, and he's like, there's no individuality anymore. I don't like it.
Oh, this is interesting. Alex says they recorded the audience shots from a fan screening of the recap movie that was shown in theaters before this movie. So, a lot of stuff in this is literally reacting to the response they got to the end of that series, isn't it? Like, it's so much of a meta commentary that it's as much about the work they did and people's reaction to it as it is, you know, the nature of reality and the nature of humanity and all of that. You shouldn't be surprised that the chat wouldn't let you say "suck a lemon."
Did they ban that?
They did. They did. So you certainly can't put black in front of lemon. There's no way that you're getting away with that.
Well, now I gotta try.
Subject: Austin is just wrong about anime in general.
That's why I told him to suck a lemon.
Oh, yeah, it let you say black a lemon. That's your one. You get one.
YouTube couldn't understand what that meant, so they're like, whatever. There's the penguin. That's what I'm here for, is just to point out penguins.
There's a monster thing that just came out of that lady's eyeball.
Yeah, that's his robot.
So yeah, people were talking earlier about the theme of death and rebirth. Like, I got that, like, you know, superficially from imagery and stuff, but just didn't totally get what was happening with the protagonist in the end of the film. And I guess I was latching on a lot more to the kind of human condition stuff, which, I mean, I guess is all interconnected, but dreams are found within reality. I mean, that's true. And see, now the movie is just spelling out everything it's supposed to be about. Which I have to be honest with you, I appreciate it because at least I had something to latch onto. I'm like, I don't know what any of this means, but at least it's telling me what the point is supposed to be.
You don't understand the image of a giant head surrounded by crosses?
Not really. So yeah, it's basically just saying be proactive, live your own life. Don't let people tell you how you're supposed to live. Take chances. Be social.
Alex409 says some of the flashes of text on screen are hate mail and death threats the creator got for the ending of the show.
Interesting.
It's pretty emo.
So is some of this weirdly the creator of this just like actually just trying to come out and say, look folks, it's just a TV show?
I guess. That or he's saying it was all Jesus all along. Now it's like the Matrix Jesus. Like instead of the code, it's just crosses.
John Kelling, I found my dreams inside a Cracker Jack box.
That's where I got my license.
But Shinji spent the whole movie avoiding his responsibility, but now he has accepted that he needs to take action, and his action is reshaping the world after it was destroyed. That's the big thing I didn't get. That he was supposed to be what is reshaping the world. Because I thought the end of this was this... I still don't get it. I thought it was like this tragic thing where where like he never accepted responsibility, did what he was supposed to, was never proactive, and then at the end he's left in emptiness when he's like trying to strangle that girl at the end. I did not know what I was looking at with that.
I don't know. But yeah, it's like he's like, oh, everybody should be one, and then he's annoyed that it's everybody is one.
I guess he changes his mind about it. Is that the idea? You know, it's really strange.
There's not enough individuality.
Now that you say that, if that's what it's supposed to be, it's a like far more I guess I can't think of a better word than esoteric, so I guess I'll go with that version of the never-ending story. Like it's that.
Well, I do wish that I was the horse in that movie, so that makes sense.
Oh, you don't want to be Falcor? Falcor! Atreyu! If you had a Falcor, you could go after kids that throw you in dumpsters. But yeah, that movie doesn't make any sense either. I don't know how he's able to take stuff from the fictional world in the book and bring it into the real... I have no idea how he does that.
I've never seen that movie, but I already hate it because it ends.
One more final. I need you. You have one more final.
So is this like...
It's a test.
The after credit scene, after that scene?
Sure. Okay, we get it. There's crucifixes. And that means resurrection, I guess. The resurrection of the universe?
Yeah.
So did we take Death and Rebirth to, like, its furthest possible conclusion where we just did it with the universe?
Yes.
I've probably never asked more questions in a commentary.
But even though everybody's reborn, he still wants to choke his girlfriend? I don't know.
Rainbow Nightmare live commentary of Spirited Away. Now, I do have to say that if we do too many requested anime pictures, we're probably just going to lose Austin. He's probably going to leave, and I'm going to be high and dry and have to do this all by myself.
I don't want to be watching all these anime pictures.
Are you making fun of my word choice?
Yeah, I just thought it was funny.
I think you're making fun of my word choice. You can't say pictures anymore?
No, because every time somebody says pictures, I just hear they're like, "Oh, there's pictures."
You just get thrown back to the 1940s?
Yeah.
I gotta go see that motion picture.
Look, kid, you have the pictures now. It's the big leagues.
Really explain the scene to me, somebody, because I don't know what's happening.
It's disgusting.
Okay, that's a fair observation, but it doesn't tell me why.
Well, that's what she's gonna say in a second.
Yeah, and I don't know what she's referring to exactly. And this was another ambiguous thing that a lot of people have their own reads on, but I don't think anything is definitive. Which again is hilarious because people said that the series ended too ambiguously, and then the end of this movie that was supposed to kind of fix that, everybody argues about what it means apparently. Alex, the ending of Shinji choking Asuka can be seen as him seeking validation of his existence and her validating that when he holds his cheek. But see, that's what I'm saying is, like, we can come up with reads on why it's there and what it means, but in the story, what is happening? Speaking of Spirited Away, I have seen that movie. I don't remember anything about it. I saw it when it came out. Probably the first anime movie I ever saw, actually.
I think that was the first anime movie I ever saw. I had to watch it in school. Wow. When everybody turns into pigs, it like scared the heck out of me as a kid. Although I don't think we finished it.
It's over. That's it. Read a book.
It's not even any credits.
No. We've got the Netflix credits for well, maybe it's not even Netflix. We got the credits for some of the maybe the voice cast and stuff of here. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Even that's confusing.
Hey, I want to thank everybody for being here for this. This was a very, very strange exercise, and we got through it. And you know what? This did not turn out the way I thought it would, because I found myself just wanting to kind of explore ideas and see what I could suss out. And I thought it was going to be a lot more of struggling to find anything to say and going ew, and it wasn't just that. So that was good. Austin, I apologize if you feel like your time was wasted, because I feel like this was not as interesting for you as it was for me.
No, it's good. I really enjoyed this picture.
I'm going to be really self-conscious about saying that. Thanks, Austin.
No, keep saying it. I like it.
RJ, what in the universe is happening? Well, see, we don't even know like what universe we were in at the end of this part of the time. And I think part of the point is supposed to be like, what is reality and all of that, but it's just, it seems, and again, I don't know enough, it seems confused to me, because it feels like it's just wanting to throw every big existential metaphysical question at us at one time. Like, yes, what is reality and what is the nature of humanity are related questions, but should we explore both of them simultaneously with no clear connection? Because it's what I kind of feel like happened here.
Well, this movie is the classic idea of what makes a reality a reality.
Batman Kicks Ass, honestly, what's happening is not as important as what it all means in the emotion, which I think is what Austin is really resisting. And it's what I'm more open to in a thing like this, trying to figure out what the like conventions of this culture and the creators in it are making. But yeah, I mean, as an entertainment and as just with it and me, yeah, I resist that too. But I'm trying to put some of that away to appreciate what it's trying to do before I decide how I want to judge it, because I don't totally even get what it's after, besides some of the grander ideas that it just throws at me like it could in a paper on on its philosophical ideas.
Rainbow Nightmare, I bought the Snyder Cut today. I'm sorry.
Earlier, that reminds me of the thing I was going to say. I was like, I wonder if Snyder has seen this movie, because you said longest after credit scene, and that is not true, because because the Snyder cut has almost exactly that same thing, where it's half an hour of nonsense after the kind of okay movie ends, and it's also half an hour.
At least the movie before it wasn't half an hour. Although you also bought Dune, so that's pretty good.
Busted Sim. I hope you're not offended by this comment. DayGhost is all, where's my story? This is stupid. Geekvolution is all, what does it mean?
I'm offended, sir. I challenge you to a duel.
A lot of people are making suggestions about things that we could do commentaries on in the future. This is not me trying to money milk or anything, but I am on very rare occasion, just because this is not my genre. I shouldn't even say genre, not my medium. I don't know enough. I'm very rarely going to, of my own accord, pick an anime film. So if folks want us to do any, in all seriousness, and at the risk of losing Austin, if folks are wanting us to do anime films, the best way to do that is to leave a request. And a lot of the things that we do for review and for commentary in these live streams that Austin and I are going to try to do close to weekly are going to be requested things. But we will occasionally pick stuff, and in fact, next week we're gonna do a show and pick something. And should we go ahead and tell everybody what that's gonna be, so they can watch it and prepare for it if they want to, Austin?
If I know, I've forgotten. So what are we doing?
Next week, Austin and I are gonna do a mini marathon on some of the episodes from the '90s Spider-Man animated series, and we're gonna watch.
I completely forgot about that.
We're gonna watch the Venom two-parter. And we're going to watch some of the Carnage stuff, at least. So little mini marathon on the 90s Spider-Man show. This was partly your idea. I can't believe you forgot about it.
No, I completely forgot. The Carnage stuff I don't think would be too bad. That's just a two-parter.
Mm-hmm. Well, Venom's, what, 4? 5?
It's 4. So altogether it's 6 episodes. So I wouldn't think it would be an issue.
Couple,
but obviously...
2.5 hours, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, not even that long.
No, because it'd be 22 minutes.
Less than, probably about the length of this, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Is all it's going to be. But that's our plan for next time. And I will try to get another request out on my own as well. But anyway, everybody, thanks a lot for being here and watching. If you were here live or after the fact, we had a bigger crowd than I expected for this, so it was really cool of you guys to pop in and chat with us. Like I said, I've been getting a ton of requests lately for more anime stuff, so I know there's interest in this. I just want you guys to know, again, that this is not my field, and I feel totally inept in this department. So it's gonna be like something like this whenever I talk about anime, where I'm just learning and feeling things out, and I don't know much. So if you enjoyed my flailing around trying to figure this out, and you want me to watch more anime, I'm willing to try it and do manga and stuff too. But I can't promise a lot of insight, because I need to watch more stuff before I have any chance of understanding more of where this comes from, the culture and stuff.
If we do any manga, we should do some Genji Ito stuff, because that stuff's great, and I actually know stuff about it.
Oh, that cool! It'd be fun for us to do something that one of us knows anything about.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know how you would react to that, so it'd be awesome.
John Ty says this was fun. Thanks. I'm glad that somebody had a good time. What?
Said thanks, man.
Man. Oh, I can't wait. Because the most meme worthy stuff from that show is in the episodes we'll be doing.
Oh, I don't know. That show in general, I think I have memes for every single episode of that show.
I know, but the Venom and Carnage stuff, you got the man, and then you've got the ends of the earth, and there's nothing more quotable in that whole series than I'll chase you to the ends of the earth. That's that episode.
See, everybody goes to that part, but I'm always like, there's so much funnier stuff outside of that.
Oh, you think?
Even in that episode, because before that, There's the part where it's showing how dark he is, and he like
The rhino
puts
spin?
rhino sword, he spins.
No, that's the best thing in the whole episode. He spins the rhino. It's like, look how dark he is. Ooh.
And Rhino's just like, stop.
It's gonna be a good time.
No, it's gonna be amazing. Some of the Green Goblin stuff I think is just as, if not more, meme worthy though.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while. I haven't gone through much of that at all since I did the rewind, the epic 2-part top 10 thing I did.
One of my favorite moments of that show is in the arc where the Green Goblin comes back, and Peter Parker's like, "Oh, does Green Goblin know who I am? Yes, no, I'm not sure, but it seems like he does." And they're at like a house party at Norman Osborn's house, and Peter just walks into the other room and he lights Norman's house on fire.
Yep.
It's awesome.
It's nuts. I think it's safe to say that I will likely be less introspective and analytical about that.
No, we're living in my territory next time.
I like this comment. Alex says, starting at the end of Ava is like entering a master level course in college when you're still in grade school. You blame Michael, man.
Well, yeah, I feel like a baby that tried to pick a fight with Bruce Lee.
Yep. and lost. But
yeah.
if Bruce Lee started as a man and then transformed into this amorphous existential blob.
Yeah, he just turned it into the blob and he ate me.
Well, did you just call me blob? Well, somebody was giving a voiceover in the background trying to explain all of it.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a proper voiceover. It was the Harrison Ford voiceover from Blade Runner, where he just like doesn't want to do it and purposefully does it bad. Where it's like, oh, I'm walking down the road. There I go.
Be proactive, kids.
I don't,
Oh, but don't watch this, kids.
Have you ever
Kids don't
seen
watch
that
it.
cut of Blade Runner?
What's that?
Have you ever seen that cut of Blade Runner?
I still
with
have never
the
seen it. I
narration?
know about that, but yeah, I've still never seen that cut.
The greatest thing ever, and I quote it constantly, is, you know, at the end of that movie where they're in the rain and Rutger Hauer like
Rutger
saves
Hauer.
his life? Yeah.
Yep.
It's like that, all those shots, except Harrison Ford's narrating over it, and it's like, I don't know why he saved me. I guess in that moment, he realized he was more human than I could ever be. There's something like that, and it's so bad. I
Did
love
it
it.
sound that much like Plinkett, though, is the question.
No, I just don't have a Harrison Ford impression.
He proved that he was more human than I could ever be, and I don't like things that are different.
He was more human.
You... It's my it's maybe my favorite movie of all time. That was a choice, man. Wrath of Khan. Human.
Of all the people I ever met, he was the most human.
Acting.
It's so good. I love William Shatner. And I don't care when anybody says
John
he
Kelling-
makes Star Trek 5.
John Kelly, maybe the real Neon Genesis. How? See, now I'm all self-conscious about the pronunciation of this show. It's Evangelion, right?
No, it's Evangelion.
Was the orange crush we made along the way.
Yes, it was. And don't forget the Twizzlers.
And the Batman Who Laughs.
/ Jokerfish.
Yeah. I don't know if that made it more disturbing or less so. Like, I think we actually made it more innocuous by putting those two things together. Well, anyway, everybody, thanks a lot for watching. This was a wild ride. And Austin, thanks so much for going on it with me, man.
I don't know what's more wild, the movie or the weird 20 minutes after the movie of rambling. But I love it.
For some people, this part will be more substantive. Anyway, thanks again, folks.
Show.
We'll see you again next week. Austin and I are going to do another one of these late Friday night live shows, watching something and talking over it. And like I said, we're going to be doing those more frequently on a lot of Fridays. So we'll be doing some live vaults and some live commentaries whenever the both of us can get together and do it. And I sure hope you guys had a good time. We certainly did. I was Captain Logan. This was The Day Ghost.
See you next time, man.
When not too long from now, I'm sure we'll cover another motion picture.
We're looking at the pictures, kid.
Oh well, if saying black didn't get us flagged, I'm sure pretending to smoke on YouTube will.
I'm not smoking. I'm sucking a lemon.
Wait, you're sucking a lemon that then you can blow smoke out of it?
No, it's so sour that I'm like...